Moving on now, the Syrian president says a deal to create a demilitarized zone around the northwestern province of Idlib is temporary. Basahr al-Assad reiterated that the government will definitely take full control of Syria's Idlib. Assad said the Syrian army's victory in Idlib will foil the ill-wishers' plots against his country. The deal was agreed between Turkey and Russia last month. It provides for the establishment of a buffer zone around Idlib that would be free of both terrorists and heavy weapons. The Nusra Front terror group, which has to leave the zone entirely, has yet to announce its stance. Idlib is the last stronghold of terror groups fighting the Syrian government forces. Now joining us live from Ontario is Mr. Ken Stone Hamilton from the Coalition to Stop the War. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Now, what do you make of this recent remark made by Basahr al-Assad? We do know that the deal to create a demilitarized zone, a buffer zone actually around Idlib province, was the idea of the Russians and the Turks. Now we have Basahr al-Assad mentioning that this is only temporary. Why did he have to clarify that? What was the message he was trying to send?
President Assad has said all along that the Syrian government and the Syrian Arab army would liberate every square centimeter of Syria from the foreign invaders. So this is nothing new. And he is quite correct in saying, having said these things, because according to international law and the Charter of the United Nations, countries have national sovereignty and territorial integrity. That's the basis of international law. So President Assad is absolutely correct in saying that Syria will liberate all of its territory and that the arrangement about Idlib is a temporary measure. And it's a temporary measure because the Russians and the Syrian government have employed a really unique strategy in Syria during this war of avoiding battles, of avoiding civilian casualties and military losses by having a reconciliation process with the armed militants who are proxies of foreign powers, including Canada, unfortunately, and having these people move out of the way of the Syrian Arab army to Idlib. And now President Assad is saying that the arrangement in Idlib is temporary and the proxies will have to move or they'll have to face the full might of the Syrian Arab army.
And you just mentioned exactly what I wanted to ask you about. We still have to hear from the Nusra Front and see what they will decide to do, because eventually they're going to have to leave Idlib province. How do you think that will turn out?
I think if they're smart, they'll pack up their heavy arms and leave their fortifications by October 15th, which was part of the arrangement made by between the Turkish government and the Russian government, and leave Syria altogether. I noticed as well that on Press TV at 7 o'clock, you reported that many Western countries are now in the process of negotiating renewed diplomatic ties with Damascus, and I'm hoping that that Canada will follow suit with this as well. This is a very good development, and it shows that the world recognizes that the Syrian government is going to win this war. Unfortunately, still, the U.S. is occupying a huge chunk of Syrian territory, and with the help of the Canadian government, by the way, who refuels its planes and does reconnaissance flights. So people in the world, ordinary people, need to put pressure on their governments to follow through with reopening diplomatic ties with Syria, and also ending the economic sanctions which have turned 3 or 4 million Syrians into refugees who flooded Europe. All these things could be brought to an end, hopefully shortly, if Western governments follow through by ending the war against Syria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ken Stone, joining us live from Ontario, from the Hamilton Coalition to Stop